Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be showing you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. And make sure you stick around for the end of the video. I'll be announcing my 10,000 subscriber giveaway. So stay tuned. First, let's get into these slow cooker brisket tacos. Several months ago, I'd found a brisket on markdown at Food Lion, and I was looking for a recipe to make with it and came across this. I'll link it down in the description box below. I kind of loosely followed it, but I'm going to place my brisket into my crock pot and then season both sides with some taco seasoning. And you can use whatever seasonings instead of or in addition to the taco seasoning that you prefer. Next, we're going to add in some salsa. I'm using a combination of just red salsa as well as salsa verde because that's what I had on hand and I needed to use both of these jars up. Just use your favorite salsa. You could also use homemade if you've got that on hand or if that's what you prefer. So I'm going to squeeze fresh lime juice on top of the brisket and then add in just a little bit of salt, and then that's it. I'm going to cover this with a lid, and you can either cook this low all day for about 8 to 10 hours or on high for 4 to 6 hours. You just want to cook it until the brisket is super tender and basically falls apart. To go along with the tacos, I'm making Mexican street corn salad. Now, I've shared this before on my channel, but when I posted this on my meal plan, I think last week, I had several people ask me to share how I make it. So I wanted to walk through it again, and of course, the recipe will be linked down below. So to this bowl, I'm going to add in my mayonnaise, then some diced jalapeno, and I removed the membranes and seeds. You can leave them in if you'd like. Next, we're going to add some salt and cayenne pepper. And then the recipe calls for you to sprinkle the top of this with chili powder and smoked paprika. But I also like to add a little bit to the salad itself. So I'm going to do that and then add in some minced garlic as well. Next, to be more traditional, this should be cotija cheese, but Kroger subbed this queso fresco for it. If you can't find cotija, you can use feta. That's closer to it, but the queso fresco will work just fine. Once I've added that, I'm going to add in some chopped cilantro. If you have the soap gene, just leave it out. And then the recipe calls for you to roast up some corn in a skillet on the stove. I'm going to use this bag from Trader Joe's. It's already roasted for me, just cuts out a step. So once I've stirred the mayonnaise mixture together, I'm going to add in my corn and then give this a taste. Adjust the seasonings to your taste. You can eat it right away. I'd recommend chilling it for a couple hours. And when you're ready to serve it, you do want to sprinkle it with a little bit of the chili powder, smoked paprika, and some of the extra cheese and cilantro, and this is yummy. Here's what my brisket looked like after about 8 hours, and you guys, this was so tender. It took like no effort at all to shred it up. So I shredded it, left it in the crock pot with the juices, and this is what it looked like. So here's what I set out to top our tacos. I've got some sour cream, diced onions, fresh limes, cilantro, some of the queso fresco, hot sauce, some of this guacamole salsa, and then, of course, the corn salad. So here's a picture of my plate. For my tacos, I just did some of the queso fresco, the lime, cilantro, and onions. And then on one of them, I tried the guacamole salsa with it. And then, of course, the corn salad. And then here's Gary's plate. Normally, for Gary, he prefers tacos to be more like Tex-Mex American style. So he likes like lettuce, sour cream, shredded cheese, tomatoes, and when I've tried to get him to try it the more traditional way of, you know, lime, onion, cilantro, he's like, yeah, I don't really know about it. Tonight, though, I convinced him to try it the traditional way, and you guys, I converted him. I actually converted him after 14 years of marriage. He was like, man, I kind of prefer it this way. I was like, yeah, it's delicious. So anyway, that was our dinner this night. So good. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've mentioned that I'm trying to like expand my culinary horizons. And about maybe a year or so ago, I tried Indian food for the first time. I first made some butter chicken, and that was good, but my husband and I didn't necessarily prefer like the cinnamon in it. And I had several of my subscribers suggest I make chicken tikka masala, and I made that, and it was delicious. Fell in love. So, been wanting to try Indian food out at a restaurant, and it's just one of those things, we just haven't done it. And so this night we decided to order in, and we were trying to figure out what we wanted to order, and Gary suggested Indian food. So that's what we did. We ordered Indian takeout. We got their, is it samosas? I think that's how you call it. I almost said Samoas. That's a Girl Scout cookie. But we got those, and then we got their chicken tikka masala. We got some garlic naan, and we got their shrimp biryani, and then we got the mango lassi. All right, so here are the plates. We got a little bit of everything. We both absolutely love the chicken tikka masala. It was amazing. And those samosas with the dipping sauce that they gave with it was so good. The garlic naan was delicious. And I believe the condiment was, I think it's called Raita. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. I know I'm butchering that. Somebody who knows how to pronounce it correctly nicely, tell me down in the description box below, please. The only thing, we didn't care for the shrimp biryani. I'd like to try it maybe at another restaurant, but we just didn't really care for it. I mean, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't our favorite. And then if you know this little, I don't know how to explain it. This little pink condiment, it was almost like a gel type texture. It was interesting, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it was good, but for me, the texture was just interesting. But I have no idea what that is. So if you know, please let me know down in the description box below. But this was really fun to try, and everything was delicious. Like I said, we didn't necessarily love the biryani, but it wasn't bad. You know, we definitely like to try it again, maybe at a different restaurant, and see what we think. But this was our dinner this night. For dinner the next night, I made smothered burritos. I know I've shared this before on my channel, but I wanted to share it again because it's so easy and super delicious. I've mentioned before that a restaurant here in town used to have a burrito like this on their menu, but they closed down during COVID, and I try to recreate it at home. So here's what I'm going to use to recreate it tonight. First, you need some Spanish rice. Sometimes I make my own. Sometimes I use the microwavable. I'm using this Trader Joe's style tonight. I've got some refried beans. I'm going to warm these up with a little bit of water and some taco seasoning. You, of course, need some tortillas. I am using these like soft taco size tonight. I didn't have any burrito size on hand, but that's totally fine. We're going to use some salsa verde. I have some of the leftover shredded brisket from the tacos we made a couple nights before. I'm going to shred up some Monterey Jack cheese, and then to make our queso, we're going to use some white American cheese, diced green chilies, and some milk. And then not pictured, I like to add a little pinch of cumin and some salt to my queso. Here I've got the Spanish rice, just cooked it according to the package instructions. I warmed up that brisket, and then I warmed up the refried beans like I mentioned earlier. So to assemble the burritos, I just lay down the tortilla, spread out some of the refried beans. I'm then going to add some of the Spanish rice. And by the way, I've got my oven preheating to about 375 degrees. Next, I'm going to add some of the brisket. Now, normally when I make this, I use like carnitas or pulled pork. That's what the restaurant used anyway, but you could use whatever meat you prefer. You could do steak, you could do chicken, you could do ground beef, whatever you like. Once I've added the Monterey Jack cheese, I'm going to roll up my burrito, and don't judge my burrito rolling skills. I'm not an expert. I'm going to place that into a greased baking dish. So here's the queso. All you do is you add, I like to use whatever milk I've got on hand, but you could also use heavy cream. You could do half and half. I've even made this using almond milk. But you just want to warm the milk up over about medium heat, add in your sliced American cheese, and then your diced green chilies, season it to taste with some cumin and salt, and then that's it. Now, this does thicken up a little bit as it sits. So once I have my burritos added to my greased casserole dish, I'm going to add my salsa verde and my queso, and then I'm going to pop this into the oven. Everything's cooked. You're just really warming up the cheese inside the burrito and warming everything like the queso and the salsa verde on top. I like to cook it for about 15 minutes or so. And here are those burritos once they came out of the oven. And then here are the plates. So I've got the burrito. I served it alongside of that Spanish rice and the refried beans. I drizzled some of the cheese over the refried beans. And then we've got some lettuce, guacamole, pico de gallo to go along with it. And these burritos are delicious. It's so good. I've been craving pot roast. Luckily, I had a chuck roast in my freezer that needed to be used up, so I decided to make it. I did let it thaw completely. Now, I've shared how I like to make my roast before many times on my channel, so I'll just quickly walk through it tonight. In this crock pot, I've got a couple russet potatoes that I washed really well. I chopped, added some baby carrots, chopped onion. Normally, I season this up with some salt, pepper, and garlic, but I used the Kinder's blend, which is basically the same thing. Now, to season up the roast and make like the gravy, I like to use cream of mushroom soup and onion soup mix. Now, I'm using like a 3.5 pound roast tonight, so I'm using 1 can of soup, 1 packet of the soup mix. If you're doing a large roast, you may want to double up and do 2 cans of soup and 2 packets of the seasoning. Now, to season up the roast, I'm also going to use that salt and pepper and garlic blend from Kinder's. So what I like to do is in a measuring cup, I add the cream of mushroom soup, the onion soup mix, and then I like to add in some water. You can use beef broth, but honestly, between the seasoning and the onion soup mix and the cream of mushroom soup, they're all kind of salty. You really don't need the beef broth, so I just use water, and I just kind of eyeball it based on how much meat I have. So I add the roast seasoned on both sides to the vegetables, pour that soup mixture over it, and then you can cook this low and slow all day, 8 to 10 hours, or on high for about 4 to 6 hours. And here it was when it was done. And guys, look at how tender this roast is. Like, no effort at all, just falls completely apart. So what I like to do is just kind of get in there with some tongs, break up the roast, and then stir everything together. And you can give it a taste at this point and adjust the seasonings. It was perfectly seasoned, so I didn't need to add anything. To go along with the roast, I like to serve rolls to kind of sop up the gravy from the roast. Tonight, I'm using some of the Sister Schubert's Parker House style rolls. I just broke off half of them because it was just the two of us, and I thawed them overnight and then cooked them according to the package instructions. And most of the time when I make pot roast, I don't make any thing on the side other than rolls because you've got, you know, your vegetables and starch with the roast. But on this particular night, Gary requested greens. So I just took a can of already seasoned greens, warmed them up on top of the stove. Here are the plates. So we've got some of the roast, the vegetables, the greens, and the rolls. I like to eat ketchup with my roast. Several of you all suggested the last time I made roast, I asked what you all liked, and several of you said to try A1 sauce, and my husband loves A1. And in fact, when I mentioned it to him this night, he was like, why have I never thought of this before? So he tried A1 with it, and he loved the A1. So if you like A1 and you've never tried it with your roast, give it a try. He loved it. This was our dinner tonight. This was delicious. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe. I saw this on Instagram. I believe the lady's Instagram account is Amy Doe Cooking. It might be Amy Do-E Cooking. I'm not sure. I'll have it linked down below. She calls this crack chicken casserole. I'm putting crack in quotations not to be disrespectful to anyone at all dealing with addiction. This is called that because it's got the basically bacon ranch cheese combination. So in this bowl, I've got some softened cream cheese. I'm going to add in some sour cream and dry ranch dressing mix. I'm going to stir that until it's well combined. A quick tip, anytime you need softened cream cheese, if you forget to set it out or maybe it's still not as soft as what you want it to be, you can pop it in the microwave on defrost for like maybe 10 seconds and it'll soften right up for you. Next, we're going to add in a can of cream of chicken soup. If you don't like using canned soup, you can, of course, make your own. Next, we're going to add in some shredded cheese. I'm using cheddar. And then we're going to add in some cooked bacon. You can, of course, cook up your own bacon. I'm using a package just to make it easy. Next, we're going to add in our cooked chicken. You could use leftover chicken, rotisserie chicken. Here, I took a couple chicken breasts, seasoned them with salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and just cooked them in the air fryer and diced them up. I'm going to add that and then give that mixture a really, really good stir and set that to the side. I'm going to spray a casserole dish with some cooking spray, and this is a 9x9. I'm going to add that mixture and then spread it out. Now, to finish up the casserole, we are going to do some buttered crackers. So in this little Ziploc bag, I have some Ritz crackers that I just crushed up. I've got some butter. I'm going to melt that in the microwave and then add the melted butter to the crushed up crackers, and then we're going to spread that over the casserole. We're going to place this into a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and you're going to bake this for about 30 to 40 minutes until the crackers are golden brown. This is what it looked like when it came out of the oven, and it did allow it to sit for about 10 minutes. To go along with this, I'm going to make some sauteed green beans. How I like to do this is just steam up some green beans and then toss them in a skillet with some salt, pepper, and usually I use minced garlic and butter. Tonight though, I've got this Land O'Lakes garlic and herb butter on hand, so I'm going to use that instead. Maybe a month or so ago on my channel, I made chicken poppy seed casserole, and I said then that I've made that for years and years and years, and I'd seen someone serve that over rice, so we decided to give it a try and liked it. And I thought maybe this casserole, because it's kind of similar to that, would be good over rice. So I just cooked up some rice. This just happens to be some minute rice, but you can cook up, whatever kind of rice you prefer. All right, here are the finished plates. We've got some of the rice with the casserole on top of the rice and then the green beans, and this was a yummy dinner. Now, for me personally, I tasted the casserole just on its own, before I put it over the rice, and it was good. But to me, I felt like it was, I don't even know the right word. The best thing I can come up with is rich. And so I recommend serving it over like steamed rice to kind of cut that. But give it a try and you may like it just fine. I mean, like I said, it was a delicious casserole. I just felt like me personally, I couldn't eat very much of it, without it being on top of rice, if that makes any sense at all. But this was an easy and delicious dinner. I think your family will like it. For dinner the next night, I made ribs. I'm going to start out, though, by making the coleslaw. Now, this is how my mom makes coleslaw. She made it this way for Father's Day, and my husband loved it. He was sad I didn't bring any leftovers home, so I wanted to make it for him. All she does is add poppy seed dressing to coleslaw mix, and that's pretty much it. So I just combined it and then popped it into the refrigerator for a couple hours to chill before dinner. To go along with the ribs, I really, really wanted the corn muffins from Famous Dave's, but I didn't have any, obviously, on hand. So the best thing I had was this Jiffy cornbread honey mix. I'm going to make that according to the package instructions. I did overbake these a little bit, so they were a little crumbly, but that's okay. They were still delicious. Now, I got an amazing deal on these ribs at Kroger. They were originally $13.99. They were marked down to $4.68 for a whole slab of ribs. That was too good of a deal to pass up. So all I did was wrap the ribs in some aluminum foil, put them on a cookie sheet. I popped them into a preheated oven at 350 degrees, warmed them up for about 30 minutes, and then added a little extra barbecue sauce, popped them under the broiler. I asked Gary what side he wanted to go with the ribs, and he was like, macaroni and cheese. So I decided to make the Stouffer's copycat macaroni and cheese because I had a can of the cheddar cheese soup in my pantry that I needed to use up. I first saw this on Jess and the Boys. I'll have her channel linked down below and the recipe. So in this skillet, I'm going to add in some butter and then allow that to melt. Once the butter's melted, we're going to add in that can of cheddar cheese soup. Then I'm adding in pepper, a little bit of salt, go easy with the salt, and some dry ground mustard. You're going to whisk that and cook that on about medium-low heat for maybe 3 minutes or so. And if you notice here, it'll kind of look curdled, and you might be like, oh my gosh, what did I do? It's fine. It will, I promise you, it will turn out. As you see, it's already started to smooth out. So we're going to add in some shredded cheddar cheese, and again, we're just whisking that. Once that cheese has melted, we're going to add in some sour cream. I'm whisking that in, and then we're going to slowly whisk in some milk. The last step is to add in some cooked pasta. I just boiled up some macaroni in salted water according to the package instructions and drained it. I'm going to stir that in, and then really that's it. You can give it a taste and adjust the seasonings to your taste. Now, the recipe says for you to then put this into a casserole dish and serve it. I really don't see the need in that. I don't want to wash another dish if I don't have to. I mean, if you were going to pop it into the oven, that would be one thing, but it just says to serve it right out of the casserole dish. So I skip that. I just serve it out of the skillet, but this is a yummy macaroni and cheese. It is so, so creamy. All right, here's a picture of Gary's plate. He was at the gym this night, and for whatever reason, I forgot to take a picture of my plate, which my plate looked just like his, just less food. We had some of the ribs, the macaroni and cheese, the coleslaw, and those honey cornbread muffins. This was delicious. Those ribs were so good. Macaroni and cheese was good. The coleslaw was good. The corn muffins, everything was just delicious. All right, for the last dinner in this week's video, I did some meatball subs. Here's what I'm going to use for my meatball subs. I like these meatballs from the dollar store. I know I've mentioned this before on my channel. I've tried many different brands and I just like these and they're pretty cheap. I want to say they're like $2.75 or something for this bag, and I love them because they're the perfect size. They're not like ginormous. I've got just some spaghetti sauce, some shredded mozzarella cheese, some grated Parmesan cheese, and then I have some hoagie rolls. Now, I cannot remember for the life of me who I've seen do this, but I've seen someone spread like garlic and herb butter on their hoagie bun when they're making meatball subs, and I've been meaning to do it. I actually had this garlic butter on hand tonight and remembered to do it, so I'm going to use that. Now, usually when I'm doing meatball subs, I'll cook the meatballs with the spaghetti sauce in the crock pot, but I forgot to do it today, so I just put the meatballs and pasta sauce into a skillet and simmered it for about 25 minutes until the meatballs were warmed all the way through. So for the hoagie rolls, and you're going to see only one roll because Gary was again at the gym this night, so he ate later than I did. I made everything fresh when he got home. But I spread some of that garlic butter on the hoagie roll, popped it into a 375-degree oven, and cooked it for maybe about 6 or 7 minutes, and then added my meatballs, some of the sauce, the mozzarella, the Parmesan, and then popped it back into the oven and cooked it for another 5 or 6 minutes until the cheese was melted. Here's a picture of my plate, and I forgot to get a picture of Gary's plate, but it looked like the same. We just had the meatball subs, and then I just cooked some tater tots in the air fryer and seasoned it up with the steak and shake fry seasoning. And these subs were really good. We both really, really liked that garlic butter added to the hoagie roll, so I'll definitely do that again. Last but not least, the giveaway that I mentioned earlier. So this past week, Megan's Kitchen hit 10,000 subscribers. I know, like, probably every other YouTuber says this, but I am genuine when I say, like, I never expected that. When I first talked to my husband and my mom about creating my own channel, I honestly thought I would have like maybe 5 or 10 subscribers and they would be family. So, I mean, this is such a huge blessing to me, and I am so, so grateful for every single one of you that watches my videos, comments, follows me on Instagram, comments over there. I'm very, very grateful. The most valuable thing that we can give someone is our time, right? That's something that, you know, we can't get back. It's invaluable. And so I am very aware and cognizant that you all spend time watching my videos and commenting, and I'm very, very grateful for that, and that means so much to me. So as a very, very small way of saying thank you, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I posted here on YouTube and over on Instagram, and asked if you would want a gift card or some of my kitchen favorites, and it was pretty much split down the middle, 50-50. So what we'll do is we'll do some of my kitchen favorites, and I'll do a little gift card. So here are the rules for this giveaway. First, you do have to live in the United States, and I apologize for that. I know I have many subscribers who live outside of the U.S. I am researching to try to figure out how I can do a giveaway for those outside of the U.S., so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, you do have to live in the U.S. You do need to be subscribed to my channel. So if you're not, hit that subscribe button. And then third, leave me a comment down below on this video and tell me what your favorite weird snack is. What is something that you enjoy eating that other people might think is weird? I'll go ahead and tell you mine. I like to eat Fritos, just regular Fritos with ketchup. I know that might sound weird, but I like it. I've liked it since I was a little girl. So that's one of my favorite weird snacks. So if you want to enter and you live in the US and you're subscribed, comment down below and tell me what your favorite weird snack is. So the giveaway will run for the next couple weeks. It will end on the 15th at 9 a.m. Central. I'll then randomly select a winner, and I'll announce that on my What's for Dinner video on the 16th. So if you do enter, be sure that you come back on my What's for Dinner video on the 16th to see if you've won, and then we can kind of sync up. That way I can get your prize, I guess you can call it, sent out to you. So I hope that you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel. And like I said, thank you so, so much for watching and for all of your support. It truly is appreciated, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.